But let's move on to a little buy or sell. Have a little bit of fun to end the show today.
Buy or sell. How was that?
It was great. Yeah, I'll give that an A+.
Okay, thanks.
All right, let's go a little buy or sell. First up, buy or sell the Atlanta Braves to win the NL East.
Oh, the Atlanta Braves are and have gone on a very long winning streak. The Atlanta Braves, might I add, that I predicted to be in the World Series again, and have said that I believe this team could even be better than last year's team when all is said and done. So do I buy or sell they win the NL East? I'm going to sell. Now, I still feel fine about my prediction. They can certainly get into the playoffs, and I believe they will and can. But I'm a believer in the Mets. As you all know, I've talked a lot about the Mets. I believe in how good they are. I believe that team is built to not tank, to not lose 8 of 10. And as long as they do that, they're going to be okay. The Braves aren't going to go on massive double-digit win streaks multiple times in the year. They're just not going to. But we saw it happen. And in the past, the Mets would have lost 6 of 8. And next thing you know, the Braves are 2 games out. Well, guess what? They're still a good bit out. That Mets team is really good. I still think they are going to win the division. I do think the Braves get into the playoffs and are going to be a problem when they get there. But I will say sell on them winning the NL East.
Oh, I got you. I just don't see where they're going to get their next loss at. To be honest with you, they have
buy
3.
or sell, producer Conrad. The Braves don't lose the rest of the season.
I think the Braves can easily win 15 games in a row here. Look, their next 6 games are against Washington, Chicago. We'll see. Next up on buy or sell. This one's going to be tough too. The Angels to make the playoffs.
Angels to make the playoffs. Okay. I'm going to buy that. So let's look at this. Let's look at the Angels season in a nutshell.
Please do. Yeah, tell us.
They start the season fantastic. They look like and appear to be one of the best teams in the game of baseball, and that's not a stretch to say that. Then it all changes. They go on the longest losing streak in franchise history. They fire their manager. But why did that happen? Okay, well, there were a lot of injuries involved. Taylor Ward, who has been a bright spot on that team this year and a massive part of that team, goes down. He hadn't played in a while. Mike Trout goes down. Anthony Rendon goes down. The injuries built up with that team. And I'm not saying it was all injuries to blame, because it's not all injuries to blame for a long losing streak for 14 games. That's not a managerial problem. I know the manager might hurt or might hinder it or might help it. He did not. And that's why Joe Madden is gone. But it's not all Joe Madden's fault. It's not all the injuries' fault. There were a lot of problems there. But now we're seeing some of those guys come back. Mike Trout, who before he went down for the injury was 2 for 2. He went 2 for 2 in that game with a homer, another hard hit. Now he comes back. His first game back, 2 home runs. Angels win big time. They're beating up on one of the best teams in baseball, the New York Mets. Taylor Ward comes back here soon. This team is starting to come back to the team that they were, that we believe they were. This team is talented enough to make the playoffs. That's why I'm buying. This is my roundabout answer of saying I am buying that the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim are good enough to grab one of the now 3 wild card spots. They're too talented not to. Buy the Angels make the playoffs.
All right. I hear you on that one. Let's move on. This it's getting a little bit easier for you here. Aaron Judge is the best player in baseball.
Yeah, much easier. Thanks. Aaron Judge, best player in baseball. Okay, let's talk through this one. Aaron Judge, right now, is playing like the best player in baseball. No argument against that. He has the most home runs. He has the best OPS. He has the best slug. Like he's Aaron Judge. I'm going to sell that he is the best player in baseball. I've thought a lot about this. I've thought long and hard. There's a couple of names that come to mind. One of which is Ronald Acuna. Okay. Now this is a tough one because I like to go to the argument of if I'm starting a team tomorrow, who am I taking and this isn't, take age out of it. If I'm starting a team tomorrow and I need to win for 1 year, I need to put together a 1 year winning team. Am I taking Aaron Judge first? No. I think I'd go with Ronald Acuna. Or another reason I sell Aaron Judge being the best player in baseball is Mike Trout. Mike Trout is one of the greatest of all time, and he's still playing, and he's still really good. And he had a couple of games where he was out for a week, but we see him come back and he hits 2 homers in that week. This is similar to what we see with other players, with other sports. LeBron James is one of the greatest of all time, but he's continually done it year in and year out and over and over and over. And we just start taking for granted what we're seeing. And he doesn't win MVP every year when he could. Mike Trout has won 3 MVPs. It could easily be 5. He's that good. And he's going to be one of the greatest of all time. And he's still playing. And he's still young. He's still in his prime. So I'm going to take Mike Trout. I'm long roundabout answer again. Sell that Aaron Judge is the best player in baseball. But this is a tough one. And you're putting me on the spot here because he is currently playing the best. And he's currently on pace to hit like 65 to 70 home runs, which is ridiculous. But I'm selling.
Yeah, I would have sold that you would have taken to Shohei Ohtani first. I can't believe Shohei Ohtani wouldn't be your first pick if you're starting a team today.
No, that's a given. We know that's a given.
Oh, so you had two number 1 picks?
Yeah, if I had a number 1 pick, I would probably take Ronald Acuna or Mike Trout because I'm grandfathered into getting Shohei. It's like, oh, Ben's the Shohei guy. He I start with Shohei on my team,
Okay, automatic. All right, that makes sense.
So obviously, and I would also throw Shohei's in that conversation as well. I obviously don't need to go on super long about this because everybody knows how I feel about Shohei. But he is an elite hitter and an elite pitcher. He's 2 in 1. He's 2 all-stars in one person. What are you doing? What are we doing not taking a guy like him? He is 2 fantastic baseball players in one, and he's still very young and in his prime. He does it all. So there's a few players that I would say over Aaron Judge is the best player in baseball, but nobody's playing better right now. So that makes this an interesting conversation and you threw this in there. That was a good question. It's a good question.
Just ask it, man. The people want to know. All right. We're actually going to stick with the Angels here because I found this to be absolutely hilarious last week. Buy or sell NICKELBACK for every single walk-up song.
I am going to buy because, one, you got to change something up in a losing streak. You have to. You know why? Because it's never all your fault. There's got to be something outside that is messing up our mojo. You just got to change it up sometime. I've seen guys in locker rooms going on hitless streaks that have done some stuff that I can't repeat on this podcast. You see some weird things happen when you're losing. Weird stuff happens when you're losing. You got to change it up, though, because it works. It didn't work for the Angels the other night when they walked up with NICKELBACK and Shohei Ohtani had Photograph, which was great. I'm buying it because I'm buying the thought process behind it. It didn't work. And say what you want about NICKELBACK. A lot of people don't like them, but I'm buying it because of the change-up.
Follow-up question. If you had one band or performer for every single walk-up song on your team, who would it be?
If you had one band or performer for every single walk-up song. So, they were the ones in like they did with NICKELBACK the other night.
Exactly.
You're saying? Everybody has. Oh, man. This is tough. Couple things come to mind. 1, Lizzo. 2, Backstreet Boys. 3, I would just go from stuff from my childhood, just really taking it back. Lizzo's not from my childhood, so I don't know where that one came from. Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, they got all the great songs, the all-time greats. I'm throwing them in there. Maybe even some Aaron Carter,
Oh man, we're on way different wavelengths here. I was thinking Gucci Mane. Gucci Mane has probably more hits than just about anybody that I know of since we've been
One year
young.
in college, my walk-up song was Coldplay.
You had to have been the most hated player on the field every single game.
So I don't know what I was doing. I don't know what. So that year I was Shohei Ohtani before Shohei Ohtani, and I was pitching and hitting. I was just throwing 80 and like not hitting hard. But so I was like, you know what? When I come out of the pen, I need to have an intense walk-up song. So I had like.
So you went Coldplay?
No. That was my hitting one. So I had like Red Hot Chili Peppers coming out of the pen. Like the same song that like Joel Zamaya had when he used to come out, but Joel Zamaya threw 102 and I was throwing like 82. Just kidding, being self-deprecating. I threw a little harder. But then offensively, I wanted to like change it up. And so I went slower. I hated it. My junior year, I switched to Levels by Avicii. And that year, I was an All-American, had a great year, got drafted. So I stuck with Avicii throughout my professional career. So that was a much better pace for me.
Avicii is a legendary, his walk-up legendary. So yeah, by all means, no wonder you became an All-American off that.
Just because of the song.
Just because of the song completely. Next up, you're actually wearing a shirt right now that kind of goes along with it, but the entire baseball world saw what Tony La Russa did against the Dodgers last week. Buy or sell, Tony La Russa's intentional walk heard around the world.
Sell. I mean, oh my God. I could go on for hours about this, but Tony La Russa walks Trey Turner in a 1-2 count. A 1-2 count. Walks him. And then the very next batter, Max Muncy, hits a 3-run home run. That's the baseball gods immediately stepping in and being like, hey, Tony, that was not smart. Here's your result. I mean, what are we doing here? You're pitching to a guy, and I know there's a pass ball, runner moves and advances, but you got a guy in a 1-2 count, and then post-game, he decides to go on and say that, well, do you know about Trey Turner once he gets to a 1-2 count? Is that really a question of what I would do? And it's like, okay, so I immediately look it up. Trey Turner's a 197 lifetime hitter in a 1-2 count. Trey Turner's one of the best players in baseball. I love me some Trey Turner. Nobody is a Hall of Fame hitter in a 1-2 count. Not Trey Turner, 197 in that account. So what are you talking about? I tweeted this. Trey Turner's a 197 lifetime hitter in a 1-2 count. Those are the numbers Tony La Russa wants everybody to know. I mean, this year, in a much smaller sample size, his batting average in a 1-2 count is like 250. But take over the whole sample size, it's under 200, under the Mendoza line. Nobody likes hitting when it gets to a 1-2 count. It's not like I used to step up to the plate and be like, can't wait to get to a 1-2 count right here so I can do some damage. It's ridiculous. Like, the thought process behind it. And then he made the reporters in the room after the game, when they asked him about it, he made them like feel like they were dumb. So is that really a question right now? Do people really think? Do they know the numbers? It's like, no, but they will. Guess what? He's a 197 hitter. Is that why you walked him? Thanks for throwing that in there. Fires me up. Sell.
Hard sell, huh?
Hard sell.
All right, last one. Matt Carpenter will have more home runs than singles this season.
So Matt Carpenter has 7 hits as a New York Yankee. 7. 6 of those hits are home runs. I don't know what the other hit is. This might play a factor in my answer, but at bare minimum, he has 6 homers to 1 single. I'm gonna buy, but why not? It's fun. I'm gonna buy that Matt Carpenter ends up with more home runs this year than he does singles. Think about that though. 7 hits, 6 of them are home runs with the Yankees. That's ridiculous.
Thanks for watching. If you love flipping bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.